Hi, this is Trish with DNT TV. We went to Steve Elliott's garage to check out his 1924 Hupmobile. We've known Steve for 29 years. He's had the Hupmobile for about 40. We met him through the Prescott Antique Auto Club, and we hadn't seen him for a while, but we did find out through the grapevine that Steve finally completed his pride and joy. It was finished just in time to be taken to the Nationals in San Diego in October of 2017. I had a lot of fun making this video. I found that Steve's garage is really interesting. It's pretty neat, it's impressive, it's comfortable. And this is probably the third place that Steve has lived since he acquired this car. Right now, Steve lives in the historic district in Prescott with his wife. I know there's a lot of history behind the restoration of this vehicle, and we're going to go over some of that today. Nothing in this video was scripted. It was just a nice casual conversation. We did everything that we could to bring you close up to this vehicle. There are so many details and so much intricate work that was involved in completing this restoration. I'm sure we'll see this beauty at one of the many upcoming Prescott car events, or maybe we'll see it on the road during a tour. In the meantime, we're just going to stop and take a listen and see what the guys have to say.
There's a lot more Hupmobiles. Yeah, they're not even common.
Well, no, they're not. And some of the later model Hupmobiles, they only made 300 or 400 of them.
Yeah.
Of each model. This one was probably the highest production. Actually, no, the highest production was like 1928, 29, the Model A Hupmobile. They made a bunch of those. But this one, I think they made like 30,000 of these.
Yeah, that's more cars than Kissel made in 25 years.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, holy cow.
It doesn't mean I was able to find all the parts.
No, I know it
I
doesn't.
sure made a lot of stuff on this car.
I know how it comes out that you end up making things.
What happens typically is I would make something and then a few months later I would find it.
Sure.
After I'd had to make it.
Yeah.
Like the steering wheel. I made that steering wheel and then I found that I got an original one. I went ahead and bought it just to have it, but
They were
that's
made?
an original crank cover. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it just beds in.
Interesting.
Oh, it's screwed on.
Yeah, it's
Like a radiator cap.
and it's a cast aluminum.
Amazing. Yeah, I had to make the radiator cap for the Kissel.
I found this in New Zealand. There's a lot of Hupmobiles down in New Zealand, and one on the South Island. I wrote to all these people in the Hup Club down there, and we went down and stayed on a sheep farm for a few days, and rode around this guy's Hup, and then he drove us cross country to the next town where there was a guy with a Hupmobile, and so we got to tour New Zealand by Hupmobile. That was kind of
That's interesting.
fun. I should say this was a weird thing that they painted the hood black, but
Yeah, because that's actually different. Because a lot of cars did this.
yeah.
But didn't do that.
Right. Well, on the deluxe model, the headlight bowls and the radiator shell were nickel plated, and you had cowl lamps, and you had steel disc wheels. Other than that, it's the exact same car. But on the standard touring, this is the way they did it. They painted the hood black.
Now that's one of the things I have to change yet, because I discovered that unfortunately I have to actually have a curve right by my windshield. Not as much curve as you've got in this car, but there's supposed to be a curve up there. And years ago that was done, and it's like, I didn't know there was supposed to be a curve. It's about a 1 inch in the center out to the side, so I've got to add a curve in it. So I got to make a change. But I can do it, it's just I have to do it yet. As I get real picky about stuff like that, because it's like, oh, now I know I'm supposed to do that.
This fender was the toughest piece of sheet metal for me. Well, this in the back bucket.
Yeah.
This one I called Frankenfender. It was 3 different fenders pieced together to make one fender. It had a spare tire well cut into it.
Oh, okay.
So I had to cut that out and put a new piece of metal in here, and then the front edge was so crumpled and rusted that I put a new piece across there. A bunch of cracks. I had to replace the wire.
It's kind of amazing what you can do, isn't it?
And then on the back bucket, this back bucket, it was interesting. I found this back bucket rotting away in a canyon in California, and it was off of a 25. It was the next year, and what I discovered was in 25, the styling didn't rise up like a Spanish galleon so much. It came kind of just straight across like this.
Oh, wow.
And so it wasn't tall enough in the back, and so I prepared to chop it off and build the metal to bring it up to the proper height.
Mm-hmm.
And when I did that, I started heating and rolling the old sheet metal up, and I discovered this hole right here sitting on the top where the metal rolled over for the wood to go inside. It was sitting right on the top, pointing straight up. So what they had done is taken 24 bodies and sliced them off and rolled them over a shorter wood frame in order to make the next body style. They were just reusing parts they already had tooled up, I guess. So I got a weld seam that starts about here and goes just below the pinstripe, goes all the way around. And then another one on the bottom where it was so badly rusted off, I had to put another 3 inches all the way around on the bottom. So, and this is the thing I'm probably most proud of, was how good that came out, and I didn't have to use a little touch of Bondo, but it
looks nice. And then they're just as convenient on your car as they are on Kissel. You got the gas gauge where you need it.
Yeah, that's
Back of the car.
That's right. And it seems to work. I've got to solder the hand in, and I've got to find a way to. I got to cast a new reserve lever. This one's been broken off, but there's a guy in the club who has one who's going to let me borrow it for a pattern, so I'll cast that up. But in the meantime, I just open up the thing and stick a dipstick in there. It's more reliable.
Yeah.
It has a similar gauge for the oil. Did you notice on the engine there's a little wire sticking up out of the block?
I did see that.
There's a cork floating in the oil with a wire coming out of it, and you can just open the hood and go, yep, plenty of oil. Although you really should reach down and tap it with your finger to make sure it's floating and not hanging there, stuck in the goo or something, and the oil's been dropping.
You even got an Arizona license plate. I've got an Arizona license plate on my Terraplane. I've got one for the Kissel too. I have an 18 license plate for it.
Really?
Yes, I do.
Those are rarer than hen's teeth.
I know. I've got to sit down and go to
I'm not going to
Bodywork
ask you
and
what
fix
you
it
had to
up.
pay for it.
I don't
Oh,
even
it's rough.
remember.
It's rough. But even rough, they're worth a lot.
I know, but I can make it look beautiful. It's just be a bunch of work.
Yeah. Well, that's the one place I copped out. I had restored several license plates, but I came down to where I had about 3 weeks left to get to the show, and I really wanted to put original plate on it, so I wound up buying this one.
Yeah.
But I've got a couple that are real close, and I had the paint. I was all ready to go, but I just didn't have the time to do it. So.
Yeah, I just thought, that I had to have one for the Kissel.
I had to make this spare tire rack because what I had was a 21-inch spare tire rack.
Yeah.
And so I found a tire rack in a rust pile out in Chino Valley. It was maybe from a Buick or something that already had this profile.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just took the brackets off the 21-inch and re-riveted them on, and then made this cross member and took the license plate off and re-riveted it to the new cross member. So it came out exact.
Now, did you make the top yourself too then? The actual fabric?
The fabric? No, I had a guy help me with that. Technical advisor did this also, so I thought, well, if he can do it, on it. And that is, I put originally the car only had snaps on the first 3 snaps going up here, and then starting right here there was one of these little corner things, and it would have the Hytem welt all the way around the back, and it was nailed permanently on. But I put snaps on because I thought if I ever trailer it cross country or something, I might want to take the top off altogether so it doesn't become a big
I could see that.
wind thing. Although I found when I trailered it to California, I started taking the top off and it was just too heavy for me and Dawn to try to do by ourselves, and so I just folded it down and it traveled all right.
I really think the most stupid thing.
Check this out. It's got a pocket in the back here for your side curtains. They store.
Oh, cool.
You just drop them down inside there.
Yeah.
Here, this was difficult to do a liner, but you do end up. You probably do have this padded thing here, right?
You probably do.
They
Yeah,
did
I'm
this.
sure they do.
We just packed that with sheets of cotton in there and rolled it, and then there's burlap, like about that wide burlap that gets stretched and nailed front and back to form a tension member inside that strap.
Oh,
and that's
okay.
what helps to give it a nice, it keeps it from scalloping out here on where it goes around the sharp curve on the top.
Okay. Yeah, because that's something I haven't even contemplated how I'm actually going to make the top.
Well,
but you just told me stuff I didn't know.
yeah. So what we did was we made the back first,
Mm-hmm.
and then the top flaps down over the back, and then there's another little strip that goes around that goes in between, almost like shingles.
Mm-hmm.
There's a strip that goes all the way across right at the top of the bow there, about a 3-inch strip. And so you've got the back fabric coming up and stopping, and then you've got this little 3-inch strip that comes up to the top of the bow, and then the top fabric comes and laps over that a couple inches, and then that gets the Hytem welt. all the way
Okay.
around. The other trick is on the front, figuring out what you do here to get like a little flap to seal your windshield.
Mm-hmm.
That was a bit of a trick. We wound up making sort of an S-curved piece and gluing it to the wood so that it sucks it back in, gives it pressure against the glass to keep water from hitting the glass and going right up over the top.
And he's even got one of those power windshield wipers like I found.
Oh yeah, yeah. The Armstrong windshield wiper system.
My mom used to say that when she was little, she'd have to move
Have
that
to crank
for her
that for Dad
father.
while he's driving.
Yeah, because it's kind of hard to drive and do it.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't, once you start driving, it jiggles down and winds up hanging right in front of your face, too. I haven't figured out, I need a little retainer or something to keep it up out of the way on dry days.
Yeah. No, it's a beautiful job.
Thank you very much. I know you can appreciate the amount of work.
Oh yeah.
Deep into the same sort of thing.
Yeah, well, I will finish the Kissel, and I've got several more to do for other years.
What are you going to do on your wheel rims? Have you already done them?
I've got the wheel rims, except I've got one left finishing is all. Otherwise, they're all done. Now, I'm not sure what you mean. I redid
Well, what
them.
I did was I sandblasted them, and then I took them down to Phoenix and had a place galvanized, or I'm not trying to say.
CAD plane them?
It's not CAD, it's zinc.
Oh, you zinc plate.
Zinc plate, yeah.
Yeah, what I ended up doing is I did sandblast them. I did go back and finish them up, and I painted them with exo rust because you can touch it up without it ever showing. And the exo rust is really an oil-based paint. But this is really cool because it is the everyman's car without it being a Model 8 or a Chevy,
Right.
or a Plymouth. The three other cars that everybody has, and it's like,
There
no,
were
let's have something
hundreds
cool.
of manufacturers in the 20s and hardly much to show for all of those car models.
Yeah, they're just, and people don't even, just nowadays, they don't even know that there were all these other car companies. They just think this is the way it was. It's like, oh, you have no idea what it was like.
It's a neat looking car.
It's one of my favorite cars because I always liked Raymond Loewy's work.
Yeah,
And that's Raymond Loewy's first real mega car job.
yeah.
And it's like, yeah, this is really cool.
I liked his, I think in 33, he did those cycle fender Hupmobiles.
Yeah.
Those were pretty cool too.
Yeah. But this is so, you're right, he did the cycle fenders first, but this is so, everything is Raymond Loewy on this car.
Yeah.
This isn't
Oh, yeah.
like sort of borrowing
That's right.
from somebody.
No, that's right.
This is all him.
Yeah, no, that's
And
true.
it's really obvious.
Yeah, yeah.
And the 527T is the one with the huge 8-cylinder. I'm sure it's going to get 8 miles to the gallon. It's huge.
I got to meet Raymond Loewy.
You did?
He came to one of our Hupmobile meets in Southern California back in the 1974, I think it was, or something.
Wow.
75. Yeah, he was an old guy then. But
Well, yeah.
I didn't fully appreciate who he was. I was a young kid, and this
Yeah.
guy. He designed cars for Hupmobile. I didn't know the full extent, that he was like the
And of course, designed the Coke bottle and all kinds of other stuff.
the Skylab and
And let's see, he designed the paint scheme for Air Force One. There's just tons of stuff he
He
did.
just like put his fingerprint all over the 20th century.